All right, so here's the Delaware. This is Treesock's game. Treesock, you are here. Good. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So Treesock is a subscriber of the channel, has been part of the channel for quite a long time, so thanks for your support, my dude. And this is the Delaware. So you're grinding up the line for the first time?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Delaware is part of the hybrid American battleship line. These are known for decent to good guns, but also the ability to launch dive bombers, which are kind of hilarious. They can do a lot of damage. However, they've been nerfed a little bit since the line was released. Louisiana's dive bombers nerfed even more so. But they're a lot of fun. Delaware is the tier 9, the Nebraska at tier 8. Nebraska does not have any rear turrets. The Delaware has a rear dual turret, and Louisiana has a rear, I think, quadruple turret. So keep that in mind. Who quacked?
I did.
What?
Nerfed for Delaware and Louisiana, buffed for Nebraska.
Fair enough. All right, Seba. Thank you. All right, so let's take a look at the build then that you've got for the ship. You've got everything except for the range module. Why don't you have range yet for it, Treesock?
Honestly, just playing up the line. I'm trying to get as many ships as possible to a higher tier. So I was just trying to save money, and its range is 22 kilometers. So not generally hurting most of the time on range.
Fair. Range does help in that, you know, generally with the hybrids, the trap is you're constantly firing off planes instead of your main guns. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly setting out your main guns, then fine, that works. Okay, and I can understand saving the XP. Hey DJ, DJ is here. Okay. Moving on, let's get into your upgrades. You've got main armaments, damage control, artillery plotting, propulsion, concealment, and artillery plotting room. Everything makes perfect sense here. You could choose to take damage control system if you find yourself being spammed down by HE and you burn down to the ground. Damage control is your choice. If you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly being shot at by battleships and you need to be able to dodge torpedoes and incoming shells, propulsion is probably good. What's your maneuverability? Honestly, instead of propulsion, I would probably go for steering gears, unless you're constantly stopping and going. If you're constantly stopping and going, that's a different story. But if you're constantly going, steering gears, you want under 15-second rudder shift. That's my own personal opinion. And what do you have stock? 17. Ouch.
Yeah. So my thought with the way that I've been playing it, because it's only got a double turret on the back, and the angles are awful on it. I tend to play it almost more like I'm playing a Jean Bart with just 2 turrets in the front, and that's pretty much all I focus on.
Smart.
Also, just when I take off to send my planes out, I like to slow down, so that way because I never know if maybe I'm gonna go and I'll accidentally spot the DD, and I'm just gonna end up trying to keep them spotted.
Okay.
So I don't want to end up sailing off into the middle of somewhere where I don't want to be, which is why I like being able to then speed back up again.
Okay. I understand that. For me, if you're constantly bow in and reversing, then propulsion can work. But the other thing is, if you're constantly bowing and reversing, you're probably going to get farmed by a lot of HE shells. So I'm just saying, use this as consideration. There's other options. Obviously, you don't take depth airstrike. Actually, you could take airstrike, or no, you wouldn't take airstrike. Most of the time, that's just anti-sub stuff. You could take air groups modification if you wanted to spam your planes more.
Yeah, which I'm playing this. It's a battleship that has planes.
Yes, and that's how most people should play it. Okay, what kind of captain are we talking about here? Anything special?
It's an anime captain, so
standard. Okay,
they're special to me.
So you got preventative maintenance to start, into grease the gears, adrenaline rush, concealment, and fire prevention. So you're treating it like a standard battleship. Okay. It can work.
Yeah. Now I did think about whether for the like the 3-point skill that I would take next. I mean, I guess I would take emergence repair, but then standard battleship would be basics of survivability, but maybe instead taking focus fire training to get that reduced aircraft preparation time.
Focus fire training. Where? Oh, over here.
Yeah.
If you find yourself wishing your planes were available more often, that's a possibility. I want to take a moment and highlight preventative maintenance. Now, recently it's been buffed to increase survivability of anti-air and secondaries, which comes in handy. Alternately, you could do emergency repair instead, or gun feeder. Those are other possibilities if you want to play more as a battleship. And then in grease the gears for a second, if you're only going bow in and you're not really turning much, grease the gears might not be as useful for you. Brisk is...
I'm not necessarily going bow in all the time. I'm just saying, when I say that I'm playing it like a JB, I mean, like if I have my second rear turrets out, that's great. But I'm basically focusing on the front one. So my thought is, if I only have the front turrets that I'm using, then I want to be able to flip my guns 180 degrees as quickly as I can.
Of course.
If that's all my only option.
Now, one thing that's nice about hybrids is you have the ability to launch your planes while your guns are turning. So it kind of gives you something to do in a sense while they're turning. So that's why I'm highlighting Brisk for a second. A lot of people, when they play hybrids, they're farther back just kind of naturally. So Brisk comes in handy because it allows you to move faster when you're not detected. It's really handy for getting out of a situation or relocating to a position that could be advantageous for you and your team. So I just want to mention Brisk as a really strong possibility. Priority target, I always swear by priority target in general, but it's up to you. So I think the other stuff you picked is fine. Okay?
Yeah. Brisk is definitely an option that I think a smarter player would take. However, I'm not smart, and I like to put my battleships places where the HP actually will force things. Sure. So I probably won't, but I do agree that I think that is a really good idea.
Right. So if that's the case, then vigilance could help you, or obviously things like emergency repair expert, basic survivability, emergency repair specialist can help you. Party target can help you because people are targeting you, or if destroyers are going to shoot you, because it goes from 3 people targeting to 2 back to 3 again, so if torpedoes are in the water. There's all that kind of stuff that comes in handy too. Now let's take a look at your signal flags. You are not running protection. You did not take anti-det. You got fire chance, repair boost, heal boost, speed, and consumables. All of that makes perfect sense. Ramming flag is always good in a battleship. Flooding reduction is also good. Anti-air is okay. Obviously, anti-det is really handy. I'm guessing you're trying to conserve flags?
Yeah, I trying to save my my det flags for when I'm playing DDs most of the time. So I won't usually take them on battleships. Unless it's in ranked, but I like to put them on my squishier cruisers and destroyers.
All right, well, let's take a look at this game. DJ, I should have time for one more replay. That's the hope. And since you're here, we'll do yours most likely next, and then Big O, you'll just have to wait till Sunday. Sorry. And that goes for I know for you it's not a big deal because you're gonna be here anyway. And that also goes for others who are in the queue too.
I also want to preface going into this, I had not played the Delaware in quite some time. So the beginning of this game is a really good exercise in how to not use the planes. or at least not how to do attack runs.
Okay. So you want some feedback on that, or?
No, it took me some time because
Okay.
the attack run, at least to me, just feels a lot longer than the American CVs. So I was just starting my runs way too close, and then it felt like they were just really wonky.
Okay. Initial positioning, way too aggressive. You're moving up very quickly. I like that you're going towards this island here, but you're not really leaving yourself a lot of opportunities to disengage. Right here, I'd be turning hard to the left. I'd be going to the flank, putting yourself in a position to turn away and run. You're spotted. It's too late. Shoot the Andalusia. That's what you're doing. You're turning. Okay. Andalusia shooting at you. You fired your guns and you immediately switched to your planes. Why did you put your planes up right now?
My thought was just it's like, while the guns are on cooldown, let me try and get a bombing run out.
Who are you bombing?
Extra spotting. Well, I see the Izumo up there, so there's a battleship I can try.
Wrong answer. Who should you be bombing? Look at the minimap right now.
Yeah.
Who should you be bombing?
Probably that DD.
Yes, the DD.
Yep.
I mean, you can bomb the Izumo. He just took a torpedo. If you set him on fire, he's going to DCP anyways. Look, you set him on fire.
Also, if you're going to go for Izumo, why did you bomb while the torpedoes hit? Why just wait like a few seconds later?
Turn away.
Yeah.
See if he'll flood. If he's going to flood for a bit, wait for him to finish flooding, then drop on him. Dropping on him at the exact same time just encourages him to DCP.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Although, again, I wanted to play this more like a battleship, so for me it was just I don't want to be stuck over here in the plains.
I understand, but like I said, the Mayhem would have been a far better choice. For one, he was spotted the whole time. He didn't even care that you spotted him. So, yeah. Wow.
You could have rolled a 7K on him and then finished him off with another salvo.
With guns,
and then
yeah.
that would give your Benham free reign to literally do whatever he feels like.
Right. Instead, now you're kind of still parking on this island. Mayhem could torpedo if you move farther forward. Mayhem's gonna die anyways. He's quite low. He would be dead now, possibly, if you had dropped on him.
Yes, the man's playing co-op.
Cool. Good for him. Sub spotted.
All guns on that, please.
前方に魚雷確認。発艦完了しました。前方に魚雷確認。敵駆逐艦を発
Shoot
見
the Kiev. You're going for the Richelieu. Okay.
Yeah. Kiev at that distance.
Also, I
end up with it.
wouldn't have bothered with the Kiev nor the Richelieu. I would have just checked the minimap for better shots. Coincidentally, there's this New Orleans that wants to die.
Or the Andalusia. I feel like you're using your planes too much. I know you said that you are a battleship that also happens to have planes, but you seem to be launching them on cooldown when they're available. And I feel like you want to be spending more time playing battleship, because if you do that, you're able to track targets better. When you switch to this, it's kind of jarring for you, because then you go into drop mode and then you got to go back to your gun mode. You got to figure out where your targets are. That was I would just hit F now. He launched his fighter plane. It doesn't really matter.
Colonel, I was just making a joke because my hand was basically yellowing in like what you would expect some players to do on co-op. But this is randoms.
So, Colonel Truth, I don't know if you were watching us when we played our grind assist earlier, but we had a Smolensk that did just that. He popped a smoke and then just kept going forward and came out of it. And we just kind of laughed. We're like, oh, that player is playing co-op. The Christmas camo does look nice on the ship. That is true. I agree. Andalusia got smacked. Not by you, but he got smacked. Again, here's where maybe you could have smacked that Andalusia if you were more in battleship mode instead of trying to use your planes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I ground the ship line myself, I only used my planes if I did not have a target to fire my guns on. That's the only time I used my planes.
I used my free experience.
You missed out. I'm sorry, you missed out. Because in my opinion, Delaware and Kansas were a lot of fun to grind.
Nebraska, I'm going to pretend that ship never exists.
It was actually a good ship for me in ranked.
Yeah, Nebraska was easy because it doesn't have a rear turret. It reduces the urge to try to get a go broadside to get all your rear turrets on target and stuff.
I see the Stockholm Syndrome is strong with this group.
Like I said, I had no problem grinding Kansas, but maybe that's a difference.
Kansas is okay now. Nebraska, as I said.
Or I'm sorry, I meant Nebraska, but yeah. Ooh, sub.
I'm about to say, what did they do? Give the Kansas some speed?
Look at that! You just randomly guessed and spotted the sturdy by accident. Look at all those ASW planes coming in on them. It looks like you were rushing in. Slow down when you're going to your drop. Hit the S key instead.
Yeah, it seems you're just not very experienced with the drops.
Yeah, again, it was a part of it. I just hadn't played this in a really long time, so in this game in particular, it was kind of rough trying to. I think I had finished the grind for the American CVs in between the last time I had really like worked on this, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Drifton, North Carolina's between Iowa and Colorado.
Here's a good example, like, of a time when you could have used your planes because you had a good amount of time where you didn't have much going on. And then, ooh, nice kill there on the Andalusia. Oh, you're talking about on the minimap? I'm not sure what he said. Just look at the map.
Oh, the US map.
Oh, okay. Nice kill on the sturdy. Yeah, I figured as much now. He said US map. Okay. But yeah, here is a great example. You're playing Battleship right now. You have planes available, but you're not using them, which I really like. Instead, you could line up a shot on the 43. Alternately, you could try to look for a shot on the Izumo, who's currently broadside to you and low.
At the same time, you could press W for a bit and then fly your planes. Like, I'd do that right now here.
Yeah, your shells are way late on the Scharnhorst.
Yeah, I think this would have been a perfect time to launch planes.
Or not shoot the Scharnhorst and go for the Izumo. Then you could have launched planes and dropped the Scharnhorst with those planes. Nice kill. I like choosing the Scharnhorst here, but you can't hit him. If only you had something that could hit him over islands.
Yeah.
Well, he'd also play a Dutch cruiser and do the same thing. If he got closer.
Unless your name's TM Grunty, then you can't.
Yeah, really unfortunate.
Anyway, here you can pop your plane, go drop the Scharnhorst. Ooh, nice citadel for a Kraken. Scharnhorst healed, so it doesn't matter anymore, I suppose. Here you could actually turn southward, but then like start reversing. Because you don't want to get too much far in and give broadsides to Scharnhorst, Fletcher, Iowa, Sun Yat-sen. There's a part where you kind of forget that you have a rear turret, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Like, funny enough, this is where you're starting to lose DPM because you're not using your bombers.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
you could have.
I think at this point I had realized that I was just so out of tune with the bombers that I just tried to focus a little bit more on my guns.
It's okay. I would rather see you playing more with your guns than more with your planes. So, overall, I still feel like you were using your planes too much early in the game. Now, mid-game, you're using it not enough, but whatever.
Yeah, like, you kind of just switch from overusing it to now, like, giving them easy targets. Like, you threw 3 or 4 broadsides at that Sharpers when it could have been done in 1 bombing run.
Silverstorm DCP'd, or he's on Flood, one of the two, but he'll DCP most likely as soon as this hits. So when you saw that the Iowa took the Torp, I might have changed targets as soon as he had send.
No,
Good night, Armios.
He was lined up on the Iowa, so I understand it.
Yeah, they just they don't turn, the bombers just don't turn quite the way they can on some of the CVs, so that. I'm not entirely sure if I noticed he had taken that as a torpedo.
Okay.
It's definitely something I am going to try and look for more often.
I mean, he's still burning, so clearly his DCP was down.
Just full speed at them. No need to brake.
Nope, there's the
The game's over.
DCP. Why is the game over now, SAT? Just because of the numbers?
Numbers is a part of it. HP, you guys are way ahead.
Look at where you're aiming. I don't like that. You need to be aiming about an inch to the right. I'd be aiming about here. Because of the way that the Iowa's turning. And maybe a little bit lower because he's approaching you.
Yeah. Also, Seba, keep in mind, even though on paper this looks like a good game, there's a lot of things we're pointing out that can improve his gameplay.
And that's the whole point.
Similar to the Brandenburg game, it looks pretty good. Like the game results are good, but I point out a lot of areas for improvement.
So Yatsen is going for the drive-by or the ram?
Yeah. By no means these games are perfect.
Yeah. Finding a perfect game is really rare. But, yeah,
Well,
I mean,
you can ask
that's a big
John
part
for
of
that.
it. Lol. That's a big part of it, though, is it's like, it's all about trying to give feedback. And, you know, some people don't want to send in a crappy game because they don't want to look like complete crap on the internet. So, I get it.
No, Brandon? No, when I'm talking about good results, I mean like literally top of the scoreboard, much higher than everyone else.
Which is what Brandenburg was.
That Brandenburg game.
Mm-hmm.
But we point out several mistakes that kept him from getting from a higher score.
Or winning.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like while this is going to end up being a personal record for me on kills. I mean, my damage isn't really a whole lot. Yeah, I got a Confederate, but I also wasn't really getting attacked a whole lot, so I was kind of able to get away with a bunch of things. But yeah, this was also you know, I had some really terrible bomb drops.
Yep. JT, by the way, congratulations. JT, who was playing with us earlier, he won the free key for Project Planet. That was pretty cool. So you've chosen to turn in. I would have kept going to C.
No cap, kill all.
Well, you get in the cap, you get a little extra XP, and
yeah, this was my like conversation with myself at the end of this. Is like, do I try and get a kill and try and get 9 from across the map, or should I have just gone for the cap?
Well, the correct play is to run into the cap and use your bombers.
Bingo, you've got planes. Get in the cap. Get in the cap, Shinji, and then just bomb her. If you don't make it, you don't make it, but You're one of the rare ships that could do two things at once, right? You can impact the game on the other side of the map while also impacting your side of the map.
And seriously, what are you gonna do by... You're trying to hit a Fletcher at 19 kilometers. Like,
And he did, but yeah.
one hit. Why are you not... Like, you should be launching planes literally right now.
Your planes are the best way to deal with the destroyer, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Also-
in this game, you pretty much got polar opposites. At the beginning, you use your plane way too much, and then not on the right targets. And then here, it's like, dude, you've got one of the best anti-destroyer weapons in the game, and it took you a minute to realize that.
Right. Yep. And I do want to point out that at about this point, if you had gone into sea, you'd have the cap. So the Fletcher getting that kill was a time extension. The time extension you needed to get that extra base XP, which if you're grinding the line, hey, base XP is base XP, you know, that really helps.
It would have been fine too, because it wouldn't have contributed too much to taking it. Like, you would have gotten the cap, it would have not dropped the game timer by much, and you'd only get one bomb in one run, realistically.
Yep. And there goes the Fletcher. Let's not get carried away. You can't do two things at once, Joker. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, that hesitation just cost you a 9th kill, unfortunately.
やりましたね。
Yep.
やはりミラクルヤンは無敵です。
Yep. Still, you came in first place. 300 base XP higher than anybody else on your team. So that's pretty nice. 144,000 damage, as you said, Trisak. A personal record on kills, which is pretty awesome. So you should feel good about that. I mean, look at all the people you killed. Look at all those dead ship icons. You destroyed this ship. You destroyed this ship. You destroyed this ship, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
And although it makes it look like your gameplay was not very good, overall, like, there really isn't that much fault. It's just not being comfortable with the planes. That's really the main part. Otherwise, like, it's a pretty solid gameplay.
And
Absolutely.
something else that I had noticed during the course of that game too was that the other two Tier 9 battleships on our team, the Izumo had dropped down to the J line, and our Minnesota was running up the 1-2 line.
Okay.
So as a top tier ship, shouldn't I be the one doing a lot of damage and getting kills anyways? And if I'm gonna be not putting myself in the position to get those, then I'm not doing my role.
Yes, assuming that you don't put yourself in a position to get farmed out and killed. There's a fine line between that. Like, I understand you're saying, hey, like looking at Minnesota right now, your Minnesota actually is doing quite well at getting himself shot at the Izumo. Actually, I like the Izumo's positioning. He's kiting away, but he's reversing closer. That's exactly what the Izumo should be doing, except I would be cutting the other direction.
Not to change subject of Minnesota is a great tanking battleship. There, so.
Okay.
Okay.
He's like the Acadians from 300, you know, right? These other two Tier 9 battleships, you know. They make a mess of things. And that's what you want.
And as much hate as the Delaware line gets, even when it was primarily accessed to now, honestly, Delaware is the gem of the line.
And Nevermore, that is true. Because the Amalfi is there, the Izumo isn't tanking a lot of the shots, but you can see the Izumo now is in full retreat. And if you're talking about at this point, Trisak, I can't blame the Izumo for what's going on. You know?
No, definitely. I'm not necessarily going to blame him for that, but it's just I don't understand why our Minnesota's going up the 1-2 line.
Well, he was way too deep early, got himself focused, and lost a lot of hit points, and then ran away. I can completely understand that.
A lot of players in the slow U.S. battleships also tend to run to the flanks for some reason. It's kind of like their default, I need to get crossfires, I go to the flanks.
Well, the Minnesota's default was, I went in too close. He went straight into A, got himself focused, and now he's running away. So, The problem with Minnesota is he's so slow. You guys all continued moving forward. You had the momentum, and he just couldn't catch up.
Yeah. Once you fall out of position in Minnesota, it's very hard to get back.
Right. Right. Unless the enemy's pushing you, in which case you're fine. You don't care because you got the speed to juke things, but you can still kind of get away.
You also have to heal to somewhat tank most shots.
Mm-hmm. So, getting back to your gameplay, Treesock, I would say just you're a battleship. Play a battleship. And then when you've got the ability to use your planes, only use them if you don't have anything else better to shoot at. And I don't mean just shoot at right away. I mean, on reload, you don't have anything to shoot at. That's my personal opinion. I realize maybe you might lose a little DPM there because you're not getting your planes off. But I want to look for broadside cruisers. I want to look for broadside battleships primarily. And if I see them, I want to smack them. I want to keep my guns on those targets. If I'm going to planes, I'm looking someplace else. I come back to my ship. My guns are looking someplace else. I got to take time to go find them again. You're losing DPM in that case. So play a battleship. Planes when you need them either to spot something, or you don't have anything to shoot at. Something's beyond an island that you want to kill, like that Scharnhorst. Mayhem early on when you're using your bombers. You want to still be targeting the ships that you feel are your threat, which should have been the Mayhem early on.
I like to think of it as two modes. You have battleship mode and you have utility mode.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever, as Zath said, whenever you need to spot something or there's a destroyer player you really hate, go ahead and bomb them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make sure they have a good day. As Seba says, you can also control X or Shift X. I'm sorry, what was that, Puddin?
But I hate all enemy destroyers.
Then perfect.
Perfect.
All right, what are we going to call this game, guys? 3 any ideas?
Well, at the time, I was debating putting on a red booster on this.
You wish you did, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm wondering, I'm thinking like a title would be like BB or CV question mark instead of like, I think that's a big part of what we've been talking about, right?
To plane or not to plane?
2P or not 2P? That is the question.
Small state, big opportunities.
Identity crisis. Ooh. Small state, big options, big opportunities. That could work too. That one's harder to do on a cover pick, right? But okay. All right. Well, chat, we need to thank you again for putting that one in, Treesock, and all your support of the channel.
Yeah, thank you for all of the feedback, and I definitely had some good advice for me to look into. Even though this was my first game back, I finished grinding it, but definitely some more things for me to think about, and different options to think about too with my captain skills.
Perfect. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go ahead